Hello everyone. Welcome back to the stream. We're here, third day in a row for some more racing action. Welcome on in, Iris. We're here for some GT4 racing. It's technically some more GT4 racing. We did some yesterday, but that was just with the Genettas. Today we have a full range of GT4s coming up. We are about a minute or so away from qualifying here as practice comes to an end. Welcome, welcome. So can you see here, I've only done a couple of laps. Nearly got the fastest time, 15 thousandths off it. So it should be very, very competitive here again tonight. And we can see we've got a range of cars. We're in the Aston Martin Vantage GT4. We've got the McLaren 570S, KTM GT4, the Porsche Cayman. We've still got a few Genettas up and down the grid, but we've also got the Camaro, Mercedes, BMW, Alpine, and Audi as well in the field. So yeah, quite a good range of cars for this race coming up, as the practice session checkered flags out for it, and so we should be starting qualifying any moment soon. I do want to put in enough fuel for 6 laps. Format is pretty much same as it was yesterday. We've got qualifying into 2 25-minute races. Qualifying setting the grid for both races. But the qualifying's 20 minutes instead of 15, so a little bit longer. But also we have quite a bit of a further grid. There's 31 in the server at the moment. That's over double what we had last night. We also have a little bit of a longer track, so that should make finding space a little bit easier. Not that there was any difficulty yesterday, of course. Real Aston R's tonight, yes, real Aston R's. We'll head out soon enough. A nice thing by having the 20 minutes instead of 15 is you've definitely got time for two runs. There's no need to rush things. I think it's about time that we got going. And not a lot of Genetta fans, no, but to be fair, I think a couple of people at least are from the Genetta series. Yeah, which you can understand. Maybe don't want to be racing the Genetta 2 nights in a row. But maybe someone newer to ACC and learning would be more up for that. And haven't mentioned it yet, but at the end, since we've got similar formats, we're going to be doing basically the same LFM race we did yesterday as well, in the latter half of today's stream. Another 25-minute sprint at Donington in GT3s. Go be in the Ferrari again. See if we can maybe get into the top 10 today after yesterday's P11. But we'll have to wait and see. That is a little bit later on. We'll have to see what the grid is like for that. But all signed up for that, since this server should run at least 8 minutes longer. The host provider for this for this series and this community launched their servers 3 minutes after the given start time, because they leave sign-ups open until the very last second, and then it takes a couple of minutes to compile the entry list and load the server up. So yeah, it'll be a little bit tighter, but I've already signed up for the LFM race, so we don't need to worry about that until later. But maybe a quick swap between servers. We'll have to see exactly. Oh no, love people from this racing in the Genettas. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Speaking of the Genettas, I noticed after the round when I was looking at standings, they had it so that mid-season sign-ups were disabled, so you couldn't sign up anymore to the series. I was like, come on, you know, there was 50 people signed up after those that didn't show up to round one and didn't notify of their absence, you know, didn't sign out ahead of time, were removed. And it's like, come on, you know, 15 isn't a lot. That's, you know, it'd be nice to have the sign-ups open, so I convinced them to open the sign-ups after making my thoughts quite clear on the matter. Thankfully had no resistance. It's pretty much, yeah, you know what, you're right, completely agree, we'll get that changed ASAP, and it was fixed. So hopefully we'll maybe see a few more people in that Genetta series. But as we seen yesterday, don't necessarily need a large grid for it to go well. And it's probably about time that I started pushing for a proper quali lap here. We're nearly 6 minutes into the session now. And we were P3 at the end of practice. Tires should be up to pressure now. With GT4s you can cut the chicane quite a bit. Driving right over the orange anti-cuts. Second up on our time from the opening flying lap. Over a second and a half words, that puts us P2. Half a second off the provisional pole time at the moment, which is a bit more than I was expecting. From right, tire seems a little overpressured. but we can fix that for the next run. Much better exit out of that long right-hander. We're not looking too great on the delta so far. Back to even now. Certainly isn't going to be a pole lap here. A little bit deep, you could say, into that left-hander. And just half a tenth off on that lap.
Yellow flag accepted.
Yeah, front tire's definitely getting overpressured here. I'll have to drop those pressures a bit.
Yellow flag, good job.
Up on our Delta 9. Not quite getting the right line over those anti-cuts. Bit of improvement by about 2 tenths here. And we're still over half a second off the provisional pole time. Bit of traffic here. But the seas kind of part ways. A little bit wider where I would have liked to have been on the apex curb. Oh, that's all the fuel I put in. Oh yeah, because the game doesn't count the outlap anymore. I forgot. So what I'm going to do is... Yeah, that's about 5 laps of fuel in. And if I go into the timetables here, previously your first lap would be an out lap, and it'd say, oh, 1 lap done as you were starting your first flying lap. Whereas now, for whatever reason, it just it's kind of lap 0 now, which is odd. We had about a tenth in that time across the first and third sectors. Yeah, that's not getting us any positions at the moment. Pressures. Reduce that by 5, reduce that by 2, reduce that by 1. I'll keep the rear left where it is. And after this car is a nice bit of a gap here. Dropping down to 5th now. I think performance-wise, I would have preferred a shorter qualifying. When you give people more time to get good laps in, I tend to drop further down the pack. Whereas, you know, if you made a shorter session where you only got one run, and if you didn't get a good lap in that run, you missed out, I would find myself further up. So fallen to P6 now. Got a 2/10 gap that we've got to make up for any positions. Of course, any improvement might help us stay in P6. As we head right now, sort of on our second warm-up lap. Tires not quite up to pressure, just optimal pressure just yet. But still seem to find a quarter of a second. Maybe there's something special about the tires, the slower pressure, a little bit cooler in temperature too, and obviously they're still fresh. So we'll put ourselves back up into P2, still a couple of tenths off the provisional pole time.
Yellow flag ahead, watch out in front.
Wide of the turn 1 apex there. better run through the chicane.
Losing time is at 1.
Pretty much matching our time that last lap. A bit wide again, turn 1's dropping a 10th again.
Yellow flag in sector 2.
That's too much.
He's trying to stay on the track.
So yeah, P2 at the moment. Of course, everyone still has a final lap here. Let's just have a quick look at the timetables. I'm curious. Oh yeah, much better, faster final sector, nearly a 10th and a half. Wouldn't have got us pole position, but we've made the second place a little safer at the moment. We've got a few cars. Number 5, they're down in 18th at the moment. Drop up to 15th. But still have the number 2, which is currently in 3rd, and the number 1 car, currently in 6th. So those are 2 cars that could potentially displace us for 2nd here. Not the number 2, they just made a mistake in the penultimate corner, and the number 1 invalidating. Very similar time. So yeah, we will hold on to P2, starting on the front row for both of these races. As I now have to put in a fuel number. Right, let me just see. Timetables, so what, that's 52s in qualifying. Let's just use 52s to be safe. So 14 laps. Served by 2.3 liters a lap. We don't have a formation lap here. So 34 liters should see us through here. And we'll keep pressures as they were in the final stint. They seem to be a little bit better. Yeah, 34 liters. We might have a liter to start the end of the race. We'll try and note that, see if we can take an extra liter out next race. But yeah, obviously starting second, you might think possibility to win. I'm not betting on it. Certainly don't see it as being likely. Since
30 seconds.
sort of the time difference in quali, but seen what happened yesterday. Who knows what will happen? Very little time here to get the tires up to any sort of temperature with a lack of formation lap. we're effectively
Staying double file.
right at the entry to the final corner. That's the pit entry on the right-hand side.
Low time position. Stay clear of the curbs.
I think we're going 1 second gear for this start. Try and get speed right.
Green line. Give it okay. Car on the right.
But this will certainly help us time-wise.
Clear on the right. Car on the right. Clear on
I've
the
been
right.
way too cautious into T1.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Taking P2 back through around the outside of turn 2. Welcome back, Mofel. Good to see you. We've just started our first race for today. That might be a warning. No, wasn't even an off track. A little bit deep here into the right-hander. Sliding into the final corner, but we get a decent exit here. Yeah, losing quite a bit of time on the pole sitter. Nice gap to P4, which actually isn't that great, because it means third place isn't under any pressure to sort of help alleviate them putting me under any pressure.
Warning for exceeding track limits.
Leader very wide in this hairpin, just picking up track limit warning being slightly wide. That fast right-hander. Leader having a very messy second lap here. Allows us to close in on them again. Getting a bit of breathing room to second place now. Definitely faster than the Ginetta at the end of the straight. Feels like yesterday. Yeah, it kinda does it a bit. Except this time we're not in a Ginetta ourselves. Janetta onto the grass. Janetta really seems to be struggling with this middle sector.
Yellow flag in sector 2.
Rear end just stepping out, going into the final corner. We gather it up.
Well done, mate. Fastest
Just ever so slightly faster than the leader. We duck the nose out, ultimately not quite close enough to go for a dive bomb. But just showing our nose, trying to put the pressure on the Janetta. Also get some clean air on the nose to help slow the car down in the braking zone. Bit deep into this long right-hander. Janetta seems to be having a better lap now. Whereas I'm the one having a slightly messy lap. Just missing apexes. We'd like to point out there's 5 different cars in the top 5. That is good to see. Leader out wide. Not the perfect line over the anti-cuts, but could be worse. Tire pressure's looking very good at the moment. Janetta taking a very wide line through the final corner. Do I watch F1? Yeah, I usually do. think the car behind made a mistake, as they've dropped back to 2 seconds gap now, and only a 1 second gap behind them. So they've certainly dropped towards the KTM behind them.
Warning for exceeding turbulence.
Right, gotta be careful with that left-hander now. Leader isn't checking out. They're just able to hold us back at about 1 second. Number 11 getting a DT, which we can see on the relative. Currently in second to last. I was thinking about the possibility of lapped traffic. I thought there's a chance it's not a factor in this race. You know, it should be short enough, but with that DT, we might have a car or two to pass. Definitely just continuing to open the gap up to the Camaro. Yeah, I took a big lift there just to make sure I didn't get a warning. Tires have certainly lost their freshness
We're halfway through, not over yet.
as we reach the halfway mark.
Yellow flag in sector 2.
Really messy final sector here. And that's just allowed the leader to pull further away. No mandatory pit stops. So this race is certainly one of those races where not much is happening, just need to keep it clean. Keep it consistent. Falling into a bit of no man's land. Still running quicker than the cars behind, which is good. LFM is Low Fuel Motorsports. They run regular races on ACC and the original AC. If you know the kind of races iRacing run on their service, it's kind of basically that, but for ACC and AC. Which is kind of cool. That number 11 is in for their drive-through now. Of which they've cleared and are just going through turn 1 now. Depending on their pace, we may or may not catch them to lap them, but considering we're in a little bit of no man's land, it shouldn't matter either way if we catch them or not. Looks like another car's in the pits. The 25 doesn't look like they're serving a drive-through. Looks like an entirely voluntary trip down pit lane. Gap to the 11 was about 8 seconds when they came out of the pits. It's now 3.5, so we'll definitely be catching them. Leaders already on their tail, and they let them through there at the final corner. We're running pretty consistent times, 53.2. While it may not be as quick as leader, it's nice to have some consistency at least. Shoot those three here. Welcome, Marty. It is this track that we were doing a bit of practice on last week. So yeah, it's just that one back marker because they had a drive-through iris. We may catch the 27. They're only 11 seconds up the road. Running through the final corner right now. They're running 2-1s. Yeah, so we probably will catch them in the remaining 4 and a bit minutes. That means 3 laps to go. I think they'll be the only car we pass that hasn't taken a trip through pit lane. Looks like a battle for third is starting to brew up. Is it possible to be a good driver with a Logitech G29? Yeah, absolutely. There are definitely people that are quick and competitive on lower end, budget orientated setups. It's just a little bit more difficult. It's not quite as easy since you don't have the same feedback, level of detail. So it's definitely a little bit more difficult, partly on pace. But more so on consistency. To be able to do the same thing lap after lap and just make micro adjustments with how conditions evolve, how the tires wear, how the car gets lighter as fuel burns off. But to be able to set a certain lap time while hot lapping, it's not, you can definitely do so. And another thing, just because you have a high-end wheel doesn't mean that you're, gonna be good. It's a little bit easier, but you still need skill to be able to reach that potential. Final lap then. Battle is still brewing behind. Looks like it's become a three-way fight for P3. McLaren's making their way into the fight. They had third for a brief moment on the relative. And yes, Irish again, alright. As long as you're having fun, that's the main thing. And you can definitely have fun on a low-end budget wheel. McLaren's like to spin if yesterday's anything to go by. Certainly the GT3 around Donington likes to spin. GT4, however, you'd hope is a little more balanced, a little easier. Oh yes, we finishing there in P2. Very uneventful race, you could say, after the first few corners. But let's see, the Camaro held on to third in the end, have the KTM and the McLaren. Then we have an Amplius driver in P6. And that's a good run from them. I don't remember where they qualified. So, yeah, that I would say is a good run from them. I don't, let me have a little check. Qualifying. They were P8, so they made up a couple of positions. In the end, our fastest lap, 52.5. We had a 10th in the first sector. But yeah, from lap 7 onwards, the time just kind of dropped away a bit. Probably pushing into those 52s, hurt the tires a little bit. Or they are starting to overheat slightly. I noticed the front left through the long right-handers was going a bit yellow on the HUD. So yeah, that definitely didn't help. We finished the race with 31.5 litres of fuel. We started with 34, so we can definitely take a litre out just to help a little bit. Yeah, looking at the results, you gotta say the classes are pretty well balanced with those results, with one exception. Just the one. Maybe they had a bad race. But yeah, considering it's like, apart from 2 drivers, they're ruining the party, that is a very good split. How was it in qualifying? It wasn't quite as clean of a split. Whether the 6 and 7 had issues. I mean, the 6 got second in class still. The 7 dropped back quite a way into the pack. Whether they got caught up in incidents that dropped them back, or whether they just struggled for consistency over the race, I don't know. But maybe, you know, they have the 1 lap pace of some pro drivers, but yeah, the thing that makes them is their race consistency. We have a little bit of a break here. It shouldn't be more than a couple of minutes before race 2 loads up. Server time will be advancing forward about half an hour from now. Race starting at 2 PM compared to 1 PM for all the sessions so far. That might mean the track cools up by a degree. It wouldn't be by much, but yeah, maybe 1 degree, which will help. Every little helps in these temperatures, just to try and keep the tires from overheating a little bit. Which could slightly reduce the wear and deg over the 25-minute race. It isn't a lot, but we did see a little bit of it, you know. It was a bit of a struggle to get into the 52s at the end of the race. But yes, so we'll just wait patiently. And speaking of, there we go. How long is it? Okay, so when this race finishes, we might have a minute or two before the LFM server launches. We'll take that 1 litre of fuel out that we can do. Do you have to register or can you join? There are public servers so you can just go and join. No preparation, nothing you need to do beforehand. Of course, with public servers, there is quite a low standard because just anyone can join. There's no monitoring. There's nothing to stop people from just crashing. So, you know, the standards are a bit low there. So, like for me, I only do races where you have to register, organized by communities. So yeah, organized league racing effectively. Because then it's like, yeah, you get clean races like these. You know, you're not worried about being taken out. You know, there's at least a decent level of quality amongst everyone. And hey, okay, yeah, sometimes accidents happen.
30 seconds.
Accidents happen, but it's like, hey, people make mistakes. They'll pick up penalties, you know, and yeah, you know from that people are, well, yeah, they might make the odd mistake. They're at least trying to be clean and not just intentionally wrecking you that you might get in public lobbies. Forza, I mean, Forza is no different. You know, it's the same public lobbies. Yeah, they're going to be messy. Organized league racing, it's going to be cleaner like this. You know, Forza is absolutely no different to any other racing game, really. But it's just more known for its public lobby racing rather than organized multiplayer. Not a great start here. Camaro not willing to try what I tried in the previous race to go around the outside of turn 2. Definitely a poor getaway, but holding position through turn 1 and turn 2. And as such, we're pretty much exactly where we were this stage last race. More of a change of position. A little... Ooh, that was a really bad line there. Looks like one of the McLarens, a different McLaren compared to last race, has got up to 4th place. But again, a gap forming between 3rd and 4th, which isn't really helping us. But we've got a bit of breathing room already. We've fallen a little further back from the leader. After how last race went, I'm not too worried about trying to catch the leader. Just like, hey, let's drive consistently, drive cleanly. Don't pick up track limit warnings. So yeah, we've a nice bit of breathing space here. Hopefully the race doesn't turn out just to be the same as last race, but I really don't see why it isn't going to at this rate. Every race is on at like 10 PM your time. Yeah, time zones are a bit annoying for that thing. But that's one of the nice things about LFM, because they run a service like iRacing, there's always a race going on. And they have multiple races every hour depending what cars and classes you're looking to run. They're not always filled with people. Sometimes the lobbies are a little bit empty. But hey, as we seen yesterday, sometimes you can get great racing with small lobbies. I mean, if this race continues on the way it's going, and the way last race went, we'd have got much more racing action in yesterday's races than we will have had today. Fastest lap of the race, not faster than the leader in front, but they invalidated their lap, so we have the official fastest lap of the race. I think they've just invalidated again there on the exit of T1. Just checking the track temperatures. I forgot to check before the race started. It's exactly where it was at the end of last race. We do get beaten for fastest lap of the race by P4 by hundredths of a second. Yeah, you can see that purple mark on their position, indicating that they do have the fastest lap of the race. This isn't as fast as we were going in the first race. But we just don't want to... kind of want to ease the tire into the race a little bit more than we did last race. That being said, we're on for a good lap time at the moment. Yeah, just missing out on fastest lap of the race, but a little bit quicker than what we ran in the first race now. Also, fourth place has been running just that little bit quicker than third, so they will be catching up. And a fight for third will probably reignite, continuing on from last race. Yeah, they also have races for AC as well as... I should have shifted down to third there. Yeah, they do have races for both ACC and AC. They did also used to have races for R Factor as well, but there wasn't the numbers for it, so they shut those servers down. But I didn't damage the engine at all with that downshift to the rev limiter. Yeah, leader's picking up some pace now. So same as what they did last race. Around this time, just put their foot down and open up that gap. It's definitely better to use manual. Usually automatic gearing doesn't get the optimum or the full potential out of every car. Kind of to encourage you to use the manual assist. Yeah, not the manual assist, but to turn the automatic assist off. But yeah, just being able to control what gear you want for corners. You know, when you're using automatic, sometimes you're like, oh, I wish I was in a lower gear for this corner, or I wish I was in a higher gear to try and reduce wheel spin on the exit of corners. Or say you find yourself a little short on fuel and you're like, right, I need to fuel save. You know, with automatic gears you can't change that, whereas with manual, of course, you can then, right, I'm gonna short shift. Number 17 has had a crash in T2, as well as number 31 as we reach the halfway mark. Yeah, and you also get to control your downshifts too if you... Technically, leaving your downshifts later will help save a little bit of fuel as you keep the RPM a little lower. But shifting down quicker gives you a little bit more engine braking, which can help slow down the car faster. Looks like 4th place made a mistake that last lap. They were a little bit slow and have dropped back from the Camaro in 3rd. Yeah, ACC does have a few DLCs now. You have to remember the game came out in 2018. I can't remember if that was the beta or full release. It could have been both. But yeah, it came out around 2018. So it has accumulated a few DLCs in its lifespan. There's the Intercontinental GT track pack, which includes 4 tracks: Suzuka, Kyalami, Bathurst and Laguna Seca. There's British GT pack, as you see, the 27 get a DT for track limits. So we will most likely lap them this race, once again. Yeah, there's British GT pack, which includes Snetterton, Donington and Oldham Park, 3 tracks. You have the American track pack, which includes Watkins Glen, Indianapolis and Circuit of the Americas. What else do you have? You have, more recently, you have the GT2 pack that has 6 GT2 cars, as well as the Red Bull Ring. You have the 2020 pack, which includes Imola and a couple of GT3 cars, maybe. There's a pack that includes a couple of Cup cars, such as the Porsche and Ferrari. There's the 2023 pack, which includes Valencia track and the new Ferrari 296 I've been driving a bit recently. There's a GT4 pack, which has a which all these GT4 cars come from. was just barely over the curb there, but game has no mercy. You'll of course be able to see all the DLCs on the Steam page. They all go on sale every so often, especially during the major Steam sales. Especially some of the older ones now, you can get for like 50% off. So you can save quite a bit. So especially someone new coming into the game, I think there is a bundle on Steam. I think there is a bundle that has all the DLCs. I forgot to mention there's of course also the Nordschleife DLC, which, as the name suggests, just has the Nordschleife 24 hour layout. You know, so I'd recommend, if you don't mind waiting, wait until everything goes on sale. Just, you know, add it to your wish list and then you'll get notified, hey, ACC and all of its DLC is on sale. And you can then pick it up for it's usually a reasonable price. Especially when you compare it to stuff like iRacing. It is very reasonable. Of course, the original AC is a bit cheaper, being much older. It's by 11 years old now. And there isn't actually too much content that comes with the original AC. Most of it is modded. These days. The 11 has decided to join the 27 in picking up a drive-through for track limits. And we're probably at the point now that when they take those drive-throughs, we'll come out ahead of them anyway, so that's nice to not have to worry about. Also, while we're finishing out the remaining 3 odd minutes of this race, when I was doing a little bit of prep for this race, the reason being to grab the thumbnail for this stream, I ran a 10-minute AI race, and on one of the laps, the AI tried to go side by side through the chicane, and an Audi, you'll see in the thumbnail, managed to hit the curbing the right way to tip it up onto two wheels. It was quite the sight. And when I seen it, I was like, that's the thumbnail. And it actually worked out pretty good. As I was able to just get my car in the background to between a couple of the cars. Yeah, between the two cars that were fighting side by side. So on to the final lap then. Not much to say about this race. We learned from last race in not being as defensive into T1, or not being as cautious, I should say. And good thing we weren't, as we had a couple of cars breathing right on our neck entering T1. I was a little bit worried about getting taken out. That might... Yeah, that's fair. Real-time trial race, yeah. Just not quite quick enough to keep up with the leader. But being a little bit quicker than all the cars behind. Really had to be careful turning in for T1 as the Camaro was poking its nose up the inside. The McLarens were right on the tail too. I thought nearly that the McLaren was going to poke its nose up the inside as well. So with that, that's the end of the race. It is 11 minutes past 9, so we have a few minutes before the LFM server goes live for us to join. But yeah, how do you know how many laps are remaining? Well, in the bottom left of the screen there is a timer for how long is left in the race. When you get to the final couple of laps, you can easily count, oh yeah, there's this many laps left. You can easily count how many laps there is left, and also at the start of the race, to know how much fuel I need, I do the quick little calculation, right? The race is this long, it takes this long on average to do a lap, right? How many laps will we get done in this time? Oh, 14. Sure enough, we've had 14 laps each time. So yeah, we'll just wait for the final car to finish, the number 17. Last of the cars to finish on the lead lap. There we go, confirmation of the final results. We will finish P2 both races. Very uneventful. Now I do want to just have a quick check. How many people have we got in? There is now 3 splits for the upcoming Donington race. There's, so I don't know how, a total of 66 drivers, so it's going to be 22 drivers per split. We are again in split 1, and we're the 22nd rated driver. So according to LFM, we're the slowest driver in split 1. You're going Ben Mufel. Well, thank you for tuning in again. Have a good night's sleep. And yeah, we'll hopefully see you again next week for some more racing. We've got sort of same schedule next week, by the way. Touring cars Tuesday, Janetta's Wednesday, then GT4's whatchamacallit? Yeah, GT4's on Thursday again next week. So yeah, we're in the server now. So we have a couple of less cars in the grid, but we should theoretically be the slowest. Now, track conditions are a bit cooler. I cannot remember what the track conditions were for yesterday. Yeah, we were using about 2.2 litres a lap last time. So if we want 6 laps, it's going to be 14 litres. Yeah, and we know this time to wait till the very, no point in going out. Well, a couple of cars less should hopefully make a little less congestion on the out lap for quali here. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Oh. That's a plot twist. There is rain within 30 minutes. The race, you can see on the right-hand side there, the race, qualifying and the race supposedly both start at Sunday 10 AM. That is the exact same time. What that means is when free practice ends, it will load straight into the race. There will be no time jump, time reset. So the race will start in the dry, and it will start raining during the race. Anyway, let's head out. Welcome, Core, to the stream. You've just missed the GT4 races. We're heading on to the LFM race now. And we have quite an interesting scenario. I see nothing has changed since yesterday, as we already have a McLaren nearly spinning. They don't go for a complete spin, but they certainly a lot of wheel spin and slide off the track out of T1. Yeah, but you can see a lot of overcast compared to what we had yesterday. I do just want to back up ever so slightly. Just have a little bit more space as we go on to your qualifying laps. Let's see what the pace is like for this field. I think the track's certainly fast. I can't remember what it was yesterday, but I think it was just optimum. So it's definitely not as grippy today compared to yesterday, which is going to make it, this session, a bit more challenging. You can see a car was in the gravel there. Or running across the gravel at least. Running in P8 after a first lap. Definitely some time left in the lap. Car spinning off into the grass. Another McLaren, maybe to no surprise. Oh, a bit of a slide there, trying to put the power down. Another bit of a slide coming out of the chicane. Time improved himself, still 17th. Need to find a bit of time here. It's definitely not going to be this lap.
He's trying to stay on the track.
Got this car behind, go and then go for it again. Our tires are a bit under pressured, which isn't helping. I can't remember what the lap times were from yesterday. Yeah, I need to find like half a second, really. That looks like a good bit of time to be found in the chicane. Looking at our delta as we pass through it this lap. We'll have we have 2 more laps of fuel here. I maybe should have bailed and fixed the tire temperatures while I still had time. Finding a bit of time this lap, 3/10 up so far. Deep into the right-hander though. Let's see, can we find some time through the chicane? Nah, I'm too quick in. Validate the lap. In fact, yeah, I'm gonna reset. I might only get 1 lap, but I think it might be the right way to go. Right, bring the fuel down to 6 liters. Gonna put the pressures up by a half. Moderate rain in 30 minutes, which is gonna make the race very interesting. I want to try and get out here before the 11, because this is a nice bit of track position. We've had time to do 2 flying laps. I should put a little bit more fuel in. Oh well. We'll have to make the 1 lap count. Was going to try and weave there to put a bit more temperature into the tires, but the car just started to break traction. We'd have the time for 2 laps, but only have 1 lap of fuel. So this lap matters if I want to make up any positions. Just struggling with understeer through that right-hander, still a little bit wide. Not as wide as it was on the previous lap that got invalidated. 3/10 up heading to the chicane. Oh, that was not invalidated. Come on. Oh, I thought that was just it. Yeah, but I kind of overshot the entry. I went in a little bit too quickly, and I wouldn't have had the speed on the exit anyway. So P21, maybe P22 here, if the number 16, which is just coming around the final corner now. Yeah, they just pip us half a tenth. So now we have the big dilemma of the race coming up. I think it's going to be a dry tyre race. Considering it's only going to be raining for the second half. Okay, the rain will get a bit heavy towards the end. But if you run slicks, the slicks... Yeah, if you run slicks, okay, you're going to have to struggle through the rain. If you run wets, you'll overheat them and damage them in the first half of the race. Very tricky decision here. Very, very tricky decision here. 2.5 minutes. Some people might be looking at that 10-minute mark and using that as a gauge to decide whether yeah, slicks were the choice last week. Yeah, this is a shorter race. It's only 5 minutes shorter, in fairness. And Donington does have a shorter pit lane. The pit loss isn't as big. Yeah, the pit lane just isn't as long, so you spend less time on the pit limiter, going slowly and losing time. Donington, this is going to be a difficult track when the rain does start. You do use the curbs quite a bit here, especially on corner exit. Most notably, Old Harpin, the sort of double apex right-hander, sort of just after that. And then, of course, most notably, the chicane. You take a lot of curb, you're all four wheels on that curb. It'll be very difficult, very tricky. We could see a lot of mistakes, and we're kind of banking on that. Yeah, 993, there was no pit limiter. Yeah, that's a big difference. Pit speed limit here is 50 kilometers an hour. We're 31 miles per hour. That is quite slow. I think the idea is going to be, go put another couple of PSI in the tires just to try and help them in the wet weather. I do need to do a quick fuel calc. Yeah, it's going to be 18. At 42 should be enough. Oh, light rain in 10 minutes. That could be the difference. I'm seeing dry tires on the card to the right. You can just see the yellow Pirelli marking. Same with the BMW in front. If you can see yellow Pirelli marking, that means it's a slick tire. If you do not see any marking on the sidewall, that means it is a wet tire. That occurs running slicks, slicks, slicks. Everyone I can see is on slicks. Starting on the left-hand side, which will be the outside, heading to turn 1 on the back row of the grid. Lamborghini behind actually started quite a far way back. Three wide out of turn 1. That's not risky at all. I think there was a bit of contact between the two McLarens. Oh, just getting collected by the Honda. Didn't know how it was going to be spinning. Only 2 seconds of damage from that. Ooh, just slightly tapping the Lambo. Have the McLaren trying to look back are inside. Getting round the McLaren and alongside the Lambo now. Lambo wanted to go side by side through the chicane. We held the outside, became the inside, and we'll take, I don't know what position this is exactly. Oh, just couldn't quite get the car slowed down before bunking the McLaren, up to 3.5 seconds of damage. The McLaren will get past us. Big send from the Lambo. They just about miss us. But we're up to 15th here on the opening lap. Quite chaotic, just like yesterday. And with rain imminent, who knows what's going to happen. Three and a half seconds of damage. Will not be the only one with damage. How much everyone else has, we don't know. Yeah, imagine we'll struggle for pace a little bit here, judging off qualifying. Track still in a fast state. It might tick up to optimum. A little bit of a slide from the McLaren. Being careful there not to just drive into the back of the McLaren. That would have been very clumsy. Very easy to do in those situations. But we have a nice bit of breathing space behind. Despite the McLaren holding us up, we did go faster than the cars behind. So we're showing a bit better race pace than we had quali pace. McLaren just getting onto the curb, going into the old hairpin. I think they nibbled a little bit of grass too, but they get away with it. BMW off in the gravel will gift us P14. McLaren getting on the grass again on the exit of the chicane. Goes defensive. This McLaren could definitely be going faster through these hairpins.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
McLaren in front getting really wide and into the grass. 30 minutes is going to be light rain plus. So it's still light rain, but it's heavier than the light rain we'll see in 10 minutes. Oh, I thought I was going into the back of the McLaren there for a moment. Light train should be starting in about 4-ish minutes.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
McLaren just about fending us off. McLaren's doing a good job of defending. And the cars behind are starting to close in. One car went off into the grass a little bit.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Big send into the double right-hander, and we get the move done. And now hopefully we can run away a little bit before the rain starts in a minute or two. Big bounce over the chicane there. Wonder if this McLaren's just gonna have that little bit more pace now that we're in front of them. McLaren was a little bit quicker through the old hairpin. You can see in our delta we are running quicker. That might be a cut. Yeah, not surprised. And here's the rain. So we're currently holding P13 down. You have to assume all these drivers are reasonably good. How good they are in these changeable conditions, we'll soon find out. You can see there we have light rain plus in 10 minutes, but light rain minus. But you know the race is only 50 minutes long, so 12 McLaren getting a poor run into that chicane.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Go for the dive bomb, and we just about pull it off.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
And then the McLaren just drives into the back of us. Thank you very much. So up to P12 now. So the rain's only getting heavier from here till the end of the race. You can see the pressure's really starting to drop now. McLaren getting a poor run through the chicane behind, gives us a bit of breathing space into the hairpin, which is nice. One BMW, couple of cars in the pits. 13 minutes left in the race. Now remember, it's still a 30-second tyre change. And it'll be about 18 seconds lost transiting through pit lane, so they have to make up about 45 seconds for it to be worth it. So we're up to P8 with all the pit stops. Halfway into the race now. One car's taking themselves out of contention by speeding in the pits and picking up a stop go 30. Both of us getting a big slide. BMW very respectful to leave us room there. We weren't really alongside, but we'd kind of committed to poking our nose in. Is the BMW going for the pits? Yeah, more cars are going for the pits. Car spun off. That'll be a free position up to P6 now. Going for wet tires might have been the call, because it looks like we're going to be losing about 5 seconds a lap. I don't know how quick the wets are going to be. They'll definitely be quicker. Another car speeding in pit lane and picking up a stop go 30. Yeah, we're losing about 7 seconds a lap. And there's still 7 laps to go. So that's 35 seconds we're going to lose compared to if the race stayed dry. Don't know what times the wet tyres are doing. They'll not be doing dry lap times, but they'll definitely be going quicker than we are. In P5 currently just trying to drive as fast as we can. That is all we can do. And I'm going to say this, if we get in top 10, I will consider this the right strategy. Losing 7.5 seconds that time, but going nearly a second quicker than the McLaren in front of us. Need to make sure we don't get overconfident though. Running a bit deep into T1. But also can't be too cautious. Need the right balance of aggression. McLaren looks like they have a wobble there coming out of the old hairpin. I think the 5 car is the lead car on the wet tyre strategy that made a pit stop. I need to look where I'm going. I can see they're just coming down to the first hairpin now. Still went faster than the McLaren in front despite that lapse of concentration between the two hairpins. Yes, so the 5 is currently behind the 15. There we go, the 5 is passed and comes on to our relative. Of course, when you're passing these slower cars, they're still on the slick tyres. The wet tyre drivers will be losing a little bit of time compared to what they could do with clean air. The 5 is by 17 seconds back. So I think the 5 will catch us. But I think they might be the only car to catch us. Because I think the next car in wets might be the 2. And they're about another 5 seconds back from the number 5. They're going to need an extra lap to catch us. Running very deep into turn 1. I think that's a 31 for the number 5, so they're running about 5 seconds a lap quicker than we are. You know, and to gain, let's say 45 seconds, but might be closer to 50 seconds. You know, 50 seconds then requires 10 laps. And there was maybe about 10 laps to go when the rain started. Ooh, the McLaren in front makes a big mistake. Is onto the grass. And we're going to get in front of them. That's P4. But we cannot afford to make any mistakes like what that McLaren made. There's going to be 3 laps to go here. So I think the number 5 will catch us about the final lap of the race. Putting us back to P5. And then I think we'll be able to hold on to P5. We're into moderate rain now. Number 5 car is by 7 seconds behind us coming into the hairpins. The relative does kind of bug out a little bit through the hairpins, just with how the track kind of snakes back on itself. The number 5 was only 4 seconds quicker that last lap, or just over 3 seconds maybe. It should still be enough to catch us, but it's actually going to be quite close. It depends how much time they lose passing the other cars here, of which they only have one more in the McLaren to go. But I think I can safely say at this point, switching to the wet tyres was not the way to go. Leader starts the final lap. Four seconds was the difference that last lap. A little bit of a twitch from the cars. They started braking on the painted tarmac, separating the track from the pit exit. But that means, yeah, the number 5, you can see them in the rear view screen. They're easily going to pass us this lap, which the 5 was a lot further in front of us when it started raining. Look at the 5 there. just has so much more grip. Just gonna let them go so I can take a better line through this right-hander. Number 2, 3 seconds back. They're the next car in wet tires. But as I say, they should just be a little bit too far back. Look at the grip that the wet tires give through the chicane. 2 seconds now as we come into the final 2 corners. Leader has finished. The Aston closing up, but ultimately not going to be close enough. And that's going to be P5. Yeah. You know, that Aston number 5 shows that, you know, every second matters in these conditions. You know, if I was 1-2 seconds quicker, I could have beat the 5. 1-2 seconds slower, the number 2 Aston would have got me. What a race. What a race indeed. Yeah, that number 5 had the fastest lap of the race, so they were quick, and they just beat us by 2 seconds. It was the right strategy. That's all there is to say. I'd actually be curious to go back and see how far ahead was the number 5 when it started to rain and when they came into the pits. Because you take that time, minus 2 seconds, and that's how much time they lost compared to us. Of course, you know, okay, there were some small mistakes running wide, which, you know, is going to happen in these conditions. But we didn't make any big mistakes. Okay, we put off the track once. Lack of concentration, that was half a second, let's say. You know, but like the McLaren that was in front of us, the number 18, you know, that mistake arguably cost them 3 places. You know, and that can probably be said for quite a few of the people that stayed on the dry tires through the rain. It's, yeah, that was... It's fun. I've said before, I always love races where you have to run in wet conditions on slick tires. It's always a fun challenge. We of course had one last week in the Imola Sprints, and we've had another race today at Donington. Both have been great fun. Yeah. That certainly makes up for the lackluster, shall we say, races from the GT4 series today. I want to go back to a couple of things. Just give me one moment. So let me... I should start with this, shouldn't I? Let's switch back over. So we've kind of come to the end of our racing week here, running 3 days in a row. First of all, we start with the World Touring Car Championship on Tuesday on the original Sao Corsa. I remember we had a good first race, and I messed up the second and third races. I made silly mistakes. which means currently in that championship, we're sitting 7th provisionally, penalties pending any stewarding reports that may have been made. So we could potentially move up. But we're currently sitting joint 7th on 38 points in the Pro Championship in our class. We are only 10 points behind 3rd place. And then there's a massive gap of nearly 50 points to 2nd. So running in the top 2 for this championship, bit out of the running, but 3rd place definitely up for grabs, being only 10 points behind. Looking at the overall championship, which is technically a little bit more significant, we're currently in P9, but again, you look to P3, they are only 20 points. Okay, 20 is twice as many as 10, but points are nearly doubled in the overall championship compared to the class championship. So that is actually a very similar amount. You look back, it's nearly then 60 points to 2nd. So we're definitely in the running. And this is more important because, as if you were here on Tuesday, you'll know I mentioned there's success ballast in this series. The top 12 in this overall championship, so from here to here, you can't see my mouse, but yeah, from here, this top row to this bottom row that I'm currently showing, all these drivers are going to get ballast, extra weight. Starting off at the top, it's 72 kilos and then -6 for each place. So 6, 6, 60, so on to 6 for 12th. That means we have 24 kilos. That is going to help us because that means there's 8 drivers that weren't necessarily quicker than us at Suzuka that are going to have more weight than us. That could help us. That could really open up some opportunities when we head to Donington Park next Tuesday for the 2nd round. If I switch this back for a moment so I can switch tabs, and let me just double check. Yes, it is Donington Park. Now, looking at what we had yesterday, the Ginetta series. We obviously sit joint 1st in that championship. Both us and the 510 Ginetta, James Cowley getting a 1st and a 3rd. So we're tied on points. Matt Ty, who got 2nd in both races, is just 1 point off. 1 point. So very tight fight in the top 3 there, of course. Alfie Bevan had pace but made big mistakes in both races. He's about 50 points off. So we'll be looking to make a big comeback. And yeah, we've just over a 20-point lead to 4th. Hopefully we see a few more people sign up for this. But yeah, whether we do or not, it should still be a close season. And next Wednesday we will be again at Donington Park. Hope you enjoy Donington Park. We have quite a bit of it coming up. And then for the Ginetta, not the Ginetta, GT4 series that we ran today. Here we can see standings. The top 3 places were the same in the first 2 races. Kind of predictable there. 14 points off 1st, 10 points out of 2nd. Then it gets a little bit more interesting as people were fighting for position a bit more. But yeah, next round, Barcelona next week, not Donington. Barcelona at night. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We have one more thing to look at, and that's of course checking on the LFM result for the race that we just finished there. So let us see. Switch back over. So yeah, here we are, LFM. We made up 17 positions. You can see we were quite a way off that fast lap. 27.9 versus a 26.1. Yeah, quite a bit slower. yeah, quite a bit slower than everyone else that finished in front of us and the car that was right behind us. So from that, we gained 67 ELO points. That pushes us up quite a bit. So we've gained about 102 points over the 2 races yesterday and today. We did lose a little bit of safety rating. We had 10 instant points, a couple of bits of contact, plus 2 off tracks. Definitely should have avoided the loss of concentration. Could have avoided that and had 9 instant points, which might have gained us a little bit of safety rating. But yeah, we could have got into the 9 bracket, the next bracket up that race. A little bit disappointing to not do that. But yeah, we didn't really lose. 0.02 isn't really anything at all. So yeah, great result. Yeah, very enjoyable race. Yeah, I mean, when you consider the split average was 3,000 ELO, I'm nearly 1,000 off that. I think we did quite well. Looking down, one car DNF'd. But yeah, when you look at our fastest lap, you know, it's like our race pace still wasn't that great. There's only like 3 people that had slower fastest laps than us. You know, our race pace still wasn't that good. It was mainly just staying out of the incidents on the most part. Okay, we had a couple of taps, but we didn't lose much time from them. And then, yeah, just not pitting for the wets and keeping it on the road with the dry tires. You know, you can see those that pitted, -2, -5, -2, -1, -6. I assume those are the people that pitted. You can see, like, you know, 26.8 lap time. They should have been much further up, but either incident or pitting for wets just backed them up. So yeah, I do want to see profile page. Currently bronze plus. I might be able to get to silver or silver plus. It said I'd done 25 races. I've done 25 races, but only 22 were ranked races. So another 3 races to get a little upgrade. Looking at our times, see, these are the times we set yesterday because they were quicker. 27.5 in quali, 27.6, so a little bit quicker. So track wasn't quite as quick this time, but not too far off. I thought it was going to be maybe a little further back. But yes, enough waffling on. You'll know that usually at the end of streams we do the Art of Rally daily event and the weekly event, but we already did the weekly event on Tuesday, so we're not doing that. And that's why we've had the controller up on screen as we've been going through results. So yeah, we'll get Art of Rally loaded up now. I can switch over. And here we go, just coming up to 10:15. So they'll check up. We were 36th when we checked where we were yesterday. We've now fallen to 39th. Still in the top 10%, which is good. Yeah, we'll check on the final result of that next Tuesday. Daily event, quick check of how we did yesterday. On Tuesday, we did quite well. We've got 30th, top 10%. Yesterday, not quite as good. 52nd, top 10%. Let's see what we can do today. We've got Group A at Germany for a 5.2 tarmac stage. This should be good fun. Let's see what car we have. That looks like a Subaru or a Lancia Evo. Actually, I'm thinking Lancia Evo on second take. Can't quite tell. Yeah, Lancia. Mitsubishi Lancer. Or Lancer. I can't remember how to pronounce it, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's Leinster on second thought. I'm probably saying Lancia because of like combining Lancia and Lancer. That's probably what I'm doing in my head. A little bit of airtime coming into that braking zone, which was a little sketchy. Car drives quite nicely. Isn't quite as wild, you could say, as the Renault was that we were driving yesterday. Many anti-lag signs from the Mitsubishi too. Riding into the sun. Yeah, Renault 5 Turbo is very mad. Very light, very agile, especially with its short wheelbase. Was very fun to drive yesterday. This Lancia, not quite as fun to be honest, but it's a little more relaxing, a little tamer. Which in a way makes it more pleasant to drive, a little more forgiving. But yeah, it isn't fun since you can't throw it around as much. Isn't quite as responsive on the steering inputs. There's the finish. 2:31 dead across the line. Puts us 22nd in top 10%. That's pretty decent. Quite an even spread across the gaps here. You know, 17 thousandths to the car behind, a further 10th to the car behind that. Just over, or just under 3/10 to the car behind, just under 2/10 to the car in front of that, and another 2/10 to the car in front of that before it being half a tenth. So yeah, it's all quite close at this part of the leaderboard, but yeah, that was a good run. Very clean, very good run. Quite happy with that. And yeah, that is where we're going to end the stream off for today. Let's switch back over to full screen. Yeah, and I can quickly go through 10 stream off. Next week's plans. There are no plans for streams over the weekend. Not this weekend. So yeah, taking the weekend off. Next week we will be back for the second round of all of our series. As we were kind of mentioning going through, we have the World Touring Car Championship at Donington GP Circuit before on Tuesday, starting at about 7:50, 7:55 p.m. UK time, BST that is. Then Wednesday, we're going to Donington Park in the Junetta on ACC. Once again, Donington. That will be at starting 7:40 p.m. BST UK time. Same time as today's stream started, and then next Thursday more GT4 action like we saw today. Hopefully it'll be a little more exciting, and we'll have to fight a little harder for positions, so that we get a little bit more of an entertaining race, not being so much in no man's land. Wasn't a very entertaining race as much as it was nice finishing in second. But yeah, that starts next Thursday, 7:40 p.m. BST again, UK time, just like today. And then next Saturday and Sunday, we might have a couple of bonus streams. Those aren't confirmed. I will talk about them more next week, should they be confirmed. If they happen, they'll be on the original Assetto Corsa, and they will be at the Goodwood circuit. That is all I'll say for now. But those should be some fun races if they happen. We will see. I'll only find out next week if I'm getting to take part in them. But yeah, they will be starting shortly before 8 p.m. Similar time to the streams are sort of at the moment, just before 8 p.m. UK time. But yeah, that's all the plans. Thank you, Cora, for watching, Iris and Mofal for being in earlier on. Hopefully, you all have great weekends. While I'm taking a little break, and that I'll see you some point next week, whether it be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or all 3 days. In the meantime, have a good night. Enjoy your weekends. Take care, and yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.